Welcome back to Your Favorite Black Lobbyist. I'm Alexis, and today we're going to do a little something different today. I just want to keep it real with everybody. We just going to talk about what's happening. Going to go through a little bit of hot topics or just what's, you've been seeing mostly in the media today. So, let's get into it. I'm ready to get into the conversations. I think they're going to be good. And, I want to hear from you towards the end. Like, tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what your thoughts on some of this stuff that's happening. Did you even know this stuff was happening? Let's get into it. Okay, so I don't know if y'all have recently heard or seen that we had in the state of Texas, a state representative, Nicole Collier, was pretty much, I don't want to be dramatic, but she was held hostage in the chambers because she refused to sign a permission slip. Okay, you're thinking, Lexis, what are you talking about? The Speaker of the House held her hostage in the chambers because she refused to sign a permission slip. You heard me exactly correct. She refused to sign a permission slip that would have allowed a DPS. I believe DPS stands for Department of Public Safety, escort. And of course you're thinking, well, why wouldn't she just sign it? That doesn't make sense. Well, the biggest thing is she doesn't have to sign it. There's nothing legal or legally binding that would make her sign this permission slip. Also, if someone forced you to sign something you didn't want to sign and told you if you refuse to sign it, you will not only be held here, but if you try to leave, you will be detained and arrested. So it's kind of just like, let me say this. I know what world we're living in, but what world are we really living in to where an elected official is being told they cannot leave their job or, because they won't sign something that requires an escort. If she refuses an escort, that is her right. Legally, there is nothing unconstitutional about that. And so I just find it so crazy that she was held in the chambers for over 24 hours. There's video footage that hopefully we can drop in the video for you to see yourself.
And all of our Democratic elected officials.
Sorry, I have to leave. They said it's a felony for me to do this. Apparently, I can't be on the floor or in the bathroom. Well, you told me I was only allowed to be here in the bathroom. No, hang on. Bye, everybody. I've got to go.
Hey, that is outrageous.
Come on.
And first of all, let me tell you something. Representative Collier in the bathroom has more dignity than Donald Trump in the Oval Office.
There you go.
That is outrageous. What they're trying to do right there is silence an American leader, silence a black woman. And that is outrageous. And I hope everybody took note of that. The fact that she can't even let her voice be heard is freaking outrageous.
It is.
And this is what we're fighting for here. This is ultimately what this is about. What we just witnessed, them trying to shut her down and say it's illegal for her to be in the bathroom and on this call. This is the lengths that they're going to in Texas to try to bring about a system so unjust and so unjustifiable that they are going to try to silence those leaders from being heard and speaking out.
When she went to the restroom and tried to conduct interviews or even just have, first off, privacy in the restroom, she was also told, and you can hear in the background of the video, she was told to come out and that it's illegal for her to even be conducting or interview or doing any of that, which it's not. It's not like you're literally barring her First Amendment right? And it's just so crazy because, especially I would say from the state of Texas, you would think that barring someone's First Amendment rights is something they would be so against, right? But it's one of those situations where I just feel like I don't know, this political landscape that we're navigating, that we're in, is just so crazy to me that we literally are in times like this. And the thing is, you know, all of this is coming from the big push for the state of Texas to redistrict, right? Again, if you haven't also heard, the state of Texas created this large bill that is going to pretty much redistrict the entire state, and it's backed by President Donald Trump to redistrict the state of Texas, right? Now, typically, the state of Texas is majority Republican. It's majority Republican state. But now the current map, it removed 5 Democratic seats potentially out of office, to where those Democratic areas in cities are no longer blue. They're now apparently red. And so I think as we're seeing so much happening in today's time, there's little and big things that's happening all at once. And I feel like it can become so overwhelming because it's hard to keep up, right? It's hard to keep up with the dismantling of of systems, the systemic racism that's been ever present, but it's now so in our faces that it's no longer insidious. Before, it was insidious. There was policy and legislation that would, justify why certain systems were set into place, why certain things were happening, why certain communities or demographics or people or persons were disproportionately disenfranchised. But now it's like, I don't care, I'm going to do it, and who's going to stop me, right? Especially, who is going to stop this mid-decade redistricting of Texas when it's backed by the highest authority in our nation, right, is the president. And so it's more disheartening because I know we talk about, especially during the presidential elections, we talk about the rigging of the elections, and, there's conspiracy theories about things. There's Twitter think pieces. There's all the stuff that we, have conversations about when it comes to rigging the elections. But this is absolute rigging of elections, right? You literally, with this bill, it's House Bill 4, it's, again, adding up to 5 GOP-leaning districts in advance of the 2026 midterm elections. And the state representative Nicole Collier situation and the redistricting of Texas is, in a sense, in conjunction, because the reasoning she was not signing the permission slip is because Democrats attempted to block the process, or even block the process of voting or being able for the redistricting bill to even be brought up to vote. And they did that by walking out. And in the event, if they're not there, if you don't have a certain amount of people there, then they can't vote on the bill. So a lot of Democrats throughout August, they pretty much traveled to different states. And of course, you can't legally keep them there. There's nothing keeping people there or persons there to be able to come back and vote on a bill. And so in an attempt to, get people to not do that, they decided to, I guess in a sense you would say, make an example out of State Representative Nicole Collier, which I think is disgusting and egregious in of itself. And so I wish I can just have a little telephone and I just can hear people calling in, because I just want to hear, what are y'all thoughts on this? This is so crazy to me. When I heard this and I seen this in the media and then I did the research myself, I just was like, it's no freaking way we are living in this time. We are actually living in a history book. Like, the history books in the next 20 to 30 years is definitely going to be, we will be written. Like, this is going to be in it. And I think the consequence of all of this is that we're going to literally see other states follow suit. So that's the other thing people don't realize. It's like, oh, well, it's the state of Texas. That's not our business. We're just Georgia. We're just South Carolina. We're just New York. We're just different states. That's their own thing. That's their issue. Why does that concern me? What does that have to do with me? It has everything to do with you, because you got to think about when there are policy actions or things like this, it's a domino effect, especially on the state side. When one state acts and they see it's successful, especially if it is a similar state like other Republican states or other Democratic states, they will follow suit and create similar, if not identical, legislation in their state and so that is where we're going to have the issue, the pettiness, and we're going to see that we're not only going to see probably other Republican-led states do what Texas is doing, is egregiously redistrict, and gerrymander and all the things, right, to where they are cutting corners to where they can remove seats just to push forward the you can say either a Republican or Democratic led primary or Senate or whatever. But also you may have other states that are not Republican, so other Democratic states like California, New York, that will do the opposite or do the same and make sure that they're going to have only Democratic, like they're going to, redistrict and make sure. So it's going to be a domino effect where we're going to see a lot of people or a lot of states have this back and forth. And it's just going to continue to push the narrative and the propaganda that we are not coming together as one. We are not working together to get stuff passed, to get the proper legislation, to get the proper policy passed. We are not going to be, honestly, in my opinion, focusing on the right things. Like, we literally are going to have, I don't even know. This is going to be really, if I can, just lack of a better terms, it's going to be a crap show. That's as nice as it's going to get. This is going to be an absolute crap show, and I really don't even want to be a part of it. It's absolutely exhausting, and I'm annoyed, and it's honestly embarrassing. I mean, from a foreign policy standpoint, from a foreign affairs standpoint, let me say that. This is really embarrassing. Like, other countries are looking at us like, what are y'all doing? And of course, some people are like, well, who cares what the countries think? And it's not even about that. But it's like, at some point, where do we just have some quorum, some decency, to where we can just, we're, like I said, we're so focused on the wrong things. And then you have these states, or you have these persons and authorities, governors that are Trump loyalists, and they're not even thinking, how is this going to benefit the state that I'm in? They're not even thinking, how can I make my state better? They're just only thinking, how can I push this administration's agenda, whatever that agenda is, even if it could be at the detriment of your state, even if it is at the detriment of your constituents, your district, the people that you serve. People forget that elected officials are in a public office, meaning they are here to serve you. And so when you get people that are power driven, power hungry, and focused on, again, not the people they're there to serve, you then get this, again, bad policy and legislation that is harming and hurting the very people they're, again, are supposed to serve, which is the American people, which is the people that is living in their area. So I think, honestly, what's happening right now is just absolutely a mess. And it's shameful because you're trying to keep up with everything and seeing how it's impacting me. And just, honestly, I just don't see how we haven't even been in this administration for a year. It hasn't even been a full year, y'all. It's only been, 9 months? And this is where we are. I mean, the first week or two, we had we had all these executive orders, right, that we barely, people in lobbyists and government affairs officials couldn't even keep up with how many executive orders, and was just trying to figure out, is this going to impact me? Is this not, like, categorizing everything. And then within, like I said, the first few weeks, you had the whole DEI situation. You had the corporate companies following suit, which we also are seeing now. Target is getting more backlash than they did, honestly, when they first came onto the scene with this whole DEI stuff. And so the crazy part is that, they think, oh, well, Target CEO is stepping down. And I don't know if that's to patronize people or what, but it's really one of those situations where it's just absolutely crazy that it's no way you can literally make it worse for yourself, right? Because the CEO of Target stepped down, but you put him in a position to where he's still making money. He's still, I'm pretty sure, active shareholder, all the things. And so it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely insane that we are, again, in this time, right? So, you good? Target is an example that I think other corporations or companies don't want to follow suit. And don't get me wrong, before that, I was the most heartbroken. I was a Target girl prior to this whole backlash with, DEI, but I also see and recognize the advocacy, how the protests, how that's actually been helping, and that we need to continue, so that I think we don't need to stop protesting Target, because, of course, it's, so people have to realize one of the jobs of a CEO, right, is to, when ish hit the fan, they are going to take it on the chin and be like, okay, yep, it's my fault. I'm going to leave and step down. But that's not really, that's more of to me, it's patronizing, but it's more of just to kind of, pacify a situation. Or hopefully that pacifies from the public, in the public eye, a situation. Because Target's been losing billions of dollars. And it's one of those situations where we don't want to just be pacified. And I think as people in the communities that mostly give to Target, to where they were able to take this deep financial hit, is that we need to recognize how much power our dollar holds, especially in the Black community. And I know this is something that's really been talked about and discussed and researched and all the things, and I'm not going to get into the details about all of that, but I will definitely say that the Black dollar holds a lot of weight. The Black consumer holds a lot of weight. And if this isn't an actual representation of that, then it needs to be that we need to continue holding out, because the CEO stepping down and then getting a cushy behind the scenes job or chairmanship, is not doing anything. And I think it's one of those situations where I just feel, honestly, I'm gonna be real, I feel like you playing with me, y'all playing, y'all really don't care. And granted, they probably don't. To be completely honest, they're a corporation. They care about their bottom line. And so when, of course, their bottom line is impacted, they're going to definitely probably scramble and make moves and all the things. We need to see real active change. And I think also, too, I don't want to say we need an apology. I just feel like there just needs to be real active accountability. There needs to be accountability for your actions. You, personally, in my opinion, you made a terrible business decision on a company side. Your whole, majority of your products are considered DEI, and then you get rid of that. To me, is is this like a long game strategic move where you trying to like dismantle the company? Because to me, that just didn't make sense on a business standpoint. I mean, I'm not a CEO. I'm not like a VP of a Fortune 500 company. So do I know? No, but I think that when you're seeing that a lot of the main products that are considered in that DEI bubble, which is a lot of persons that are pretty much not a white man, everything that's not that is considered DEI. Oh, let me say this: a white, able-bodied, heterosexual male. Yeah. So if you don't fall in line with that, baby, you're DEI. Sorry to break it to you. So it's and I think a lot of people too, and I want to talk about it. A lot of people thought DEI was equated to black. And I think that's the shocker that everybody got when they were like, oh, that doesn't impact me, because really what I hear when other people say, oh yeah, like that DEI stuff, yeah, you're saying black. And we've seen that with the situations with, I believe, was it Harvard? And, they thought, with affirmative action, because again, everybody think with these buzzwords or these certain words, it equates to black persons, the black community. Oh yeah, that doesn't impact us, X, Y, and Z, right? And then you see, okay, affirmative action it's not sometimes just it's not only just like, oh yeah, that's only for black people to get them into schools. Well, y'all see that people who were not getting into schools was the people in the Asian community. Also, too, when people hear deportation, you equate deportation to Latin, Latino, Hispanic community or persons. We're seeing it ain't only just them that are getting deported. So, again, the same racist systems that you upheld or uphold, and it's not even just white persons or people that are white. It's other people that uphold those same systems that also is to their detriment. I mean, I have a lot of conversations with people from the diaspora and the black community, Caribbean, African, of course, Latino, Hispanic, a lot, but even not even then, people forget also, people that are not white American, if you are, Italian, Polish, German, like European, a lot of people are seeing, oh, I can't get entry back into the country because, again, deportation was not only, yes, I'm pretty sure who was going to be the largest community impacted from this is going to be probably the Hispanic Latino community. But again, it's not only just them. So when people are like, well, whoa, why am I in this? Well, yeah, if you're not if you don't fall in line with whatever the whole birthright citizenship, naturalized citizenship, all those things, you will be impacted. And so I think when we really look at some of these things, and I know we kind of transitioned into something different. Again, we're just talking, we're having a real conversation. So hopefully you still following with me. But I just feel like when we're having these conversations, when we're talking about these things, when, you got to come out of yourself. You can't, when you put in place your emotions in this stuff and you, again, uphold these racist systems, you think you hear certain buzzwords and you're like, oh, well, that's just only for them. That's not a me. That's a other. It's not like, no. So now we're in an administration that really don't care about nobody for real. And so it's just one of the situations where it sucks, but it is what it is. And so it's crazy, y'all. I think, with everything that's also happening in the actual district of DC, it looks real. From what I see in the media, I have not been up there yet physically. So I can also attest that I have not been up there to kind of get my own perspective and gist of it, but just based on the videos, based on how other people are capturing the DC area, it just doesn't look like a place I would want to visit like I used to. I mean, I have family up there, I have friends up there, I have, built professional relationships up there. I used to work up there. And so to see an area that I love so much and that means so much to me in a lot of different ways, especially in regards to my career, regards to just family and friends, loved ones, like from a personal, professional standpoint as well. Let me say that. It really is. It saddens me that it's turned into that, right? And I know everyone's like, oh, well, the National Guard there, the police is there, to reduce crime. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, so are we going to send the National Guard to every freaking city? Are we going to send the National Guard to every, because there's crime everywhere, right? I'm not just counting the crime in the DC area, right? I used to live up there. I got family and friends up there. But I think we have to really kind of break down the escalation to where we would need the military to protect the city, that the MPD, the Metropolitan Police Department up in D.C. can't do. So it's just like, but also too, if the MPD in D.C. can't do it, then at what point, like what resources are we giving into our police force or the police departments or our public safety departments? To be exact, it's not only just police, fire, what resource are we giving to where they can be able to protect our city? What policies and legislation are we enacting in order to make sure that we don't have, certain issues if there is a gun problem, if there is a drug abuse problem, whatever the issue is causing a crime, but also not even just those things, homelessness, there's other situations that causes crime, right? There's other environments and reasonings for why people commit a crime. And also there's the difference of the kind of crime. Is it just petty theft? Is it gang related? Is it more egregious, like violent crimes? What kind of crime is happening to where we need to militarize the area? Because also too, I think people got to realize too, there is policing and keeping people safe, and then there's community policing. You have to build trust in communities, and there's already, especially in a lot of areas of the D.C. area, is predominantly Black areas. And so you don't want to recreate another situation where we're having people being racially profiled in their own community, in their own area. There's a video of these two Black men who are sitting in front of their house on their stoop or steps and stuff. And I think one of the guys was smoking a cigarette or something.
How y'all doing today? Y'all staying in that trouble? You got your ID on you, chick?
Well, no, I live right here.
Okay, cool.
It's a cigarette. Did y'all get a call or something about right here?
No, so we're doing checks, keeping everybody safe down here, right? Have you heard of the federal surge that Donald Trump's putting out?
No.
Right. You don't follow
No.
Code 3, anything like that people are putting up? All right, so yeah, Trump's got all federal agencies kind of coming together for 7 days and going out, trying to stop the violent crime, all kind of stuff. So we're out here contacting people, talking to them, right? Quality of life offenses, smoking, drinking in public, right? Can't happen outside, right? Most people know that. Right? So we're contacting people, trying to advise them of the law so they learn, right? And then if there's other stuff going on where it turns into, there's multiple agencies of somebody, there's a shoe date and things like that. So there's extra hands available, all right? So we're just out here trying to inform people and educate people. It's not like we're trying to just go grab people and ruin someone's life over a joint or something like that, all right?
I only asked because when you walked up, at the moment you walked up, you only had eggs.
Yeah, well, it smelled like the odor of marijuana, burnt marijuana in the air, right? And you're the only guy that had something lit in your hand, and I didn't flash right, so I didn't realize it was just a cigarette. So that's on me. I appreciate you understanding and not getting chippy with me. All right, so just know, right? Learn, teach, tell your boys, yo, everybody's out, from FBI to park police.
Right?
So do your thing. Let them know. Don't be smoking outside. Don't be drinking outside. Because Donald Trump is tired of it. People come to visit.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know smoking in public?
And the, I believe it was National Guard or one of the, I believe it was National Guard that passed by and was just questioning him and just saying, oh, yeah, you know, we're having like issues, that kind of stuff. And it's like, based on, you know, watching the video, you'll see that it's like, it wasn't a aggressive or, you know, interaction. It wasn't that. It could have been, but I think there's still a level of when are we just, again, having the real conversations of you're coming into people's communities and areas and, you know, you're questioning them, you're making it, like, not everybody feels, like, safe. Like, some people feel threatened when they're approached and you're just like, well, I'm just chilling, I'm just sitting here, and you're asking me like, you're questioning me at my own house, you know? And, of course, some people from a different perspective will be like, well, just answer the question. And it's like, okay, but how would you feel if someone walked up on your steps and was questioning you as if you did something wrong when you're just sitting there and it's on your property? You know, I think we have to look at it from different sides. And, of course, you know, we're just having real conversations. There's no, you know, I don't have all the answers. You know, I don't have all the thoughts and opinions, but I definitely have a perspective. I do have, you know, I don't know. I just feel like we just really need to like really think through where our bias is coming from. We all have it, so I'm not going to sit there and make it seem like it's only coming from a certain group of people. We all have bias. We all have prejudice. We all make prejudice decisions because that's just how our brain works. That's how we've been socialized to think, especially how to discern from this person, is this safe, you know, fear of like all the things. So, you know, that's not even up for a discussion. It's more or less that we do need to check our biases. We all do. Check how, and also kind of do recognize, okay, am I judging this person off of the color of their skin? Am I judging this person based off of the environment situation? Or, you know, do they look sketchy, or what looks sketchy to you? All these things, right? Figure out, you know, before we make these rash decisions that in a sense could potentially impact someone's life. And I think that's the other thing too. We hold so much power, so much is in our voice that we don't realize how much that can impact somebody and impact them, not even, you know, internally, but externally. You can impact someone's life by, if you don't really think through your decisions, if you don't really think through, if I do call the police on this person, right, after assessing the situation, how's this going to end, especially if this person is a person of color? You know, it's not, we're not going to sit here on this podcast and act like, you know, we're going to be Stevie Wonder to the situation that Black people, you know, especially, or people of color, have not the best relationships when it comes to law enforcement. No matter what side of the coin you look at it from, whether it is from that the law enforcement side or it's from that person's side, the relationship is there's a lot of historical tension and context there as to why on both parties they may feel like there's no trust or there's going to be a problem when when it comes to interaction. So I think, you know, when we really have these conversations, we got to really have the real conversation about where is this bias coming from. If I can look at myself and say I have a bias towards X, Y, and Z or certain things, then at least for me, I think that's a step towards the right direction, because at least you can recognize that's a bias and this is how I lead with my decisions. This is how I interact or engage with people because of this, whether it's due to the fact that I had certain things happen in my life or my past, or that is why now I move a certain way, whether it's because I was in certain environments, situations, whatever the reasoning is, we still got to check ourselves to recognize where is this coming from. And then when we get to the point of, is this actually coming from a logical place or a place where it's like, no, I'm actually not safe and I'm making the best decision for my safety. But even then I can get slippery because, again, a lot of people are living a freaking delusional Like we live like so delusionally sometimes because where it's like, well, I don't feel safe. Like I seen a video. It was in, I assume like the UK or something, because they had an accent. I don't think they were in America. And it was this guy. I don't know what the guy looked like, if he was a person of color, if he was, white. I'm not sure. But his car broke down and he's pulled over on the side of the street. This was kind of like a residential area. He wasn't in front of anybody's house or like blocking their driveway, but he was just on the side, like near the sidewalk and stuff, because the house was kind of gated off a little bit. And this woman came out and approached him and was like, hey, you can't park here. And he was like, I'm not parked here. My car's broken down. I'm just waiting for assistance. I'm not bothering anybody. She was like, well, you just can't, you're lying. She's like, you can't park in front of my house. She's like, he was like, well, I'm not parked in front of your house. And they just had like a whole back and forth. So she went to go get her boyfriend. I guess she thought her boyfriend was going to come and make the guy feel uncomfortable. I'm not sure what she thought her boyfriend was going to do, but the boyfriend actually sided with the guy and was like, well, what is your problem? Because he just told you he can't start the car, like his car broke down. He's waiting for assistance. He's not bothering anybody. He's, what's the problem? And the boyfriend and the lady was having a whole back and forth about the situation. And so it really just showed, and she got upset because she was like, well, you're supposed to have my side. And he was like, well, I can't do that when there's no logical reasoning for why you are honestly bothering this man. So I think it's just one of those situations where we just really have to, again, check our bias, check where things are coming from so that we don't, again, impact somebody's life. Because if she would have called the police or whatever on him while he was sitting there, who knows how that could have went, right? So again, you escalate situations that may not need to be escalated. I think we have to really think through how, as we are in these times, right? As we are, in the first year of this administration, and we clearly see how the next 3-4 years is going to look. Being under this administration, we really have to sit with ourselves and say, how am I participating in pretty much I guess you could say I'm dramatic, but the dismantling of our American system, the dismantling of our American democracy. I mean, we are really kind of effing stuff up here, in my opinion. Who am I? You may disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. I really actually welcome your disagreements. I welcome, your thoughts on it. I want, like I said, it's just a real conversation. And granted, my perspective or views may change, right? So I may come back and have a different outtake or look once I kind of sit with it more, once I, have a little bit more research. But I will tell you, as of right now, this is what I'm feeling. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. These are my beliefs on it right now. But that's the beauty of having real conversations. The purpose of this podcast is to have is to say it, right? How are you feeling? Do you have bias towards certain groups of people or certain situations, certain things? Are you upholding racist systems, right? To where we are continuing with this narrative and pushing these things that are really hurting all of us. It's not impacting just a one person. It's impacting all of us. And I think once we realized we are better together than we are apart, we actually can start actually making good policy and legislation and stop thinking that we need to keep fighting each other and keep pushing each other down in order to, I don't even know what the goal is, to be honest, but in order to do whatever the goal is, right? I will say with this, I think a lot of people look at our president and think that what he's doing makes no sense, it's chaotic, oh, he's going senile. I think what he's actually doing is very strategic. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is not a man who is not intelligent. He's very intelligent, and he's thought through this, right? Now, do we have to understand or know maybe what the goal is? That may be something we are trying to figure out, but I don't think that anything that is happening is by happenstance. It has been thoughtfully thought through, and I think outside of the fact that we also may be dealing with a malignant narcissist, it's one of those situations where I think, we have to also take, again, an accountability that nothing is being done by happenstance. Nothing is just, at the whim of it, right? So I hope, this kind of left you with some food for thought. I hope, this kind of put you on to something that's going on for you to also do your own independent research. I really encourage you to independently research anything that we talked about today. Inform your own opinions. Don't just look at one media source, view different media sources, fact check things. So if someone says something, if even I say something, fact check me, right? Don't take my word for it. Go check it out for yourself. I encourage your thoughts. I encourage your opinions. I encourage the conversation below. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. Please like, comment, follow, subscribe, and we'll definitely chat soon. Bye.